Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, I Parry Everything, Season 1.
Yep, I Parry Everything, Season 1, Episode 12. Welcome back to the Dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the Dojo, and well, between the last recording session and this one, because both Age and I have a lot of bullshit to deal with at the moment, and we're getting done what we can, I figured out the audio problem. So, yeah, that the audio issue should be solved. I will probably put up the other reactions that still have the audio once I edit those for Patreon, but I'm gonna have to manually edit the most of the audio out of that, which is gonna take a minute. But for all future recordings, I have freaking found a way on Streamlabs to selectively target audio from certain programs. So we got my microphone and Discord and the background track. That's all we need. If we're not getting sound from the browser, so that we're not getting any kind of copyright anything, fantastic. So yay, Streamlabs rolling out this beta whenever they did. Maybe it's an OBS, I have no idea, but I'm not switching to OBS because it took forever to set this up, and I've had zero problems with Streamlabs for the most part, so I'm just not going to get into that debate right now. I'm sure OBS is just fine too if you use it. But anyway,
if I recall correctly, when in the limited times I stream, if I recall correctly, I use OBS, but that's only because that's just like the only one that I've ever actually really tried to use.
Right. So, either way, that being said, as for I Parry Everything, we had Midgar. I got to make a bunch of Midgar jokes in the last recording session. That was pretty much it. Nor parried some stuff again. It was cool. Some diplomacy went down. The Emperor peed himself again. I'm still not in the best headspace based on what's going on with my freaking original account there. So again, I apologize for myself. I hopefully will get myself right by this weekend when we start doing the new set of shows that will be starting next week when we do that recording session this weekend. But I'm still not in a great mindset because I'm still just really aggravated and upset with what's happening with my original account. But again, the show must go on. I want to continue. I'm not going to let that stop me. But again, I will apologize if I'm a little out of it. Just not my usual self for some of these. But yeah, hopefully by the time we start the new set of shows, I'll be at least okay enough to just ignore it. But I'm still in that whole period of being super pissed off about it, but being professional here. Off cam, I'm not in a good mood. But I'm doing my best for you guys here. But anyway,
Thoroughly pissed off with
pretty much. But anyway, as we can see, we're looking back at the Capitol here. It'll be interesting to see how this wraps up. What we can mention it here in the intro. I assume that this anime, based on everything we've seen, is it's probably not going to get a season 2, not for the reasons people might think. Maybe down the line, if it the manga stays popular or whatever, and the author wants them to do the whole series or something like that, and it has enough interest that it'll continue. But this is something Age and I have talked about in the past. It's one of those a source material, whatever it is, manga, light novel, whatever, manhwa at this point now that the Korean stuff is getting anime adaptations. It's kind of one of those, feels like one of those, okay, this got popular enough to get an anime adaptation. It's going to get one season, and then that's kind of like, hey, if you enjoyed that, go finish it by reading the source material.
Yeah, it's dubbed "Read the Manga Endings" by the community, just because it's or read the manga seasons as well. It's because it's one of those things where it's just the entire point behind it is just that the author gets them to just do one season just as basically a advertisement for the manga to get people to go read the manga.
Yep. So that's what kind of this one kind of has that vibe based on like production value and stuff like that. We've talked about how this definitely seems to have a much less budget than certain other shows. So, which again, it hasn't been bad. It's still obviously watchable and fun for what it is. But yeah, that's what this definitely feels like. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see how this wraps up then. Just kind of, I assume it'll be kind of like a teaser trailer for what the next arc in the source material is, whatever that is. So I'm not entirely sure if that started. I don't know where the source material is at. I haven't looked into that based on everything that's been going on recently. So at some point I'll probably look into it just to kind of see. So, but as it stands right now, we had the Midgar stuff last time. The Emperor is going to be deposed, and they're going to kind of have like a Regency Council thing. We're probably not going to get much on that. It's probably going to center around Nord just going back to being the super handyman, I assume. Stuff like that. Maybe some more just with some of the other major characters and Rolo adjusting to his life in the capital, that kind of deal. And maybe some like teaser stuff on the Theocracy, because the king did mention that there might be issue that with them taking in a demonkin. So
yeah, because every time we've heard any sort of mention of the demon folk, it's that apparently they're highly persecuted by the Theocracy because of the whole thing of like their race basically trying to genocide all the other races in the past.
Yep. So either way, that being said, let's go ahead and push some buttons and see what's up with this episode. And people on YouTube, will see you on the other side of the edit for the review. And people on Patreon, we'll get ready for the countdown here. So here goes some. Well, alrighty then. That I like what they did with this episode. We mentioned it there at the end of the reaction over on Patreon, but yeah, this was definitely a unique way to do it. It's kind of the inversion of how they story, as you mentioned. We got to see.
We've up to this throughout the whole season, we've had the established format of a situation breaks out. We see everyone else's perspective on it, which is like the more accurate to what's really going on. Then afterwards, we see Nor's delusional version of what's going on, and to add like the bit of hilarity into it and to understand where his actual thought process is going. And this is the one time where we originally in the first episode saw Nor's perspective, and now in the last episode we're seeing everyone else's accurate perspective.
Right. So that's how you do storytelling. In case anybody is wondering. That's how you wrap it. You do the rule of threes. That's one of the important things. And then kind of just like fully encapsulating a story like this. Kind of like, one of the best examples of closing the loop was Futurama before they rebooted the series like a year and a half ago. That was a perfect closed loop series. The way they did that was brilliant. It was just like, when that series ended, it was Fry and Leela going, yeah, the professor can fix it, but it just resets everything, and everything is going to happen the exact same way. So it was literally a closed loop. But I guess I've sworn off the new seasons just because I enjoyed how that ended, and from what I've been told, it's basically like they're just like adding more stories to the closed loop, but I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But either way, that's for this. This was a great way to handle this. Even if it didn't really... we got a little bit on what is potentially coming with the Theocracy. Obviously, that's going to be the next problem, because they're the ones that were in charge of the jewelry, like the magic gems and stuff like that. So that'll probably be what the next arc entails. So we got a little bit on that, but just seeing this perspective from the instructors, that kind of thing, how they felt about him. Good use of everything. We got to see just everything from the 3 months of the training, stuff like that, how that worked out. A couple of them were ridiculous. The two standouts for me, obviously, were the archery instructor, because we didn't know that Nor broke her bow, which I assume would be considered like, you know, like a rare or epic item. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I was definitely enchanted seeing that started spewing magic as soon as he freaking crushed it.
yep. So that wasn't just an effect. That was definitely, you know, magic coming out of it here. So that was certainly a thing. But this was the standout because we got to see, like, you know, him just hitting bullseyes for 3 months and putting a literal hole into that iron, what I assume it was an iron shield. And then
With pebbles.
Yeah, with pebbles. And which the instructor did say, he mentioned to the instructor that he took down birds that were allegedly, like, arguably, potentially, like, one of the fastest, like, avian beings in their world, based on what the instructor said. Like, oh, that's a thunder flash or whatever she called it. So, and he was just casually taking these things down with rocks.
He was just hunting birds.
Yep.
It's like he's later on hunting frogs.
Pretty much. But not to say that all the things that he was doing from the instructor's perspective wasn't impressive. All of them were impressive, but the bow one stood out for me. The thief one was funny. I'll give him that. But the mage stuff here with, like, the hyperbolic time chamber, like, sensory amplification room, which, like, allows you to become, like, one with the universe and, like, expands your senses. And we've all heard of sensory deprivation chambers, but this is the opposite.
Yeah, it's a resonance chamber. It's supposed to massively heighten your senses to make you more in tune with the world.
Yep. So that was definitely a thing. But here at the end of this is something that we did not know yet, and the mage guy lost his mind, was the fact that Nor can dual cast.
Yeah.
So, as he points out here, it took him 50 years how to figure out how to do that. And Nor just kind of did it 3 months, whatever, on his own. No problem. So, not only did he survive the sensory amplification chamber for far longer than anyone is supposed to, and then told him to get out and stayed in there longer. We don't know how much longer he stayed in there, but he figured out dual cast. Without mana flow, mind you. He does not have a natural mana flow, meaning in any universe that has any kind of mana or chakra or energy flow, whatever you want to call it, he does not have it. Which leads us back to what we talked about in the first episode with, like, the freaking Kratos-esque stave around his house and his dad potentially being an isekai protagonist. Generally speaking, if you're isekai'd, you don't end up with that world's natural energy flow, whatever it may be.
Yeah, like, that's even, like, a big sticking point for, like, Subaru. Why he's only capable of very limited shadow spells. Is because he doesn't have a actually, like, properly developed mana gate in that universe. Because he's not native to that world.
Yep. So it's one of those things where that definitely leads me to think that obviously his dad was probably the Dragon Slayer of legend from the stories, and the fact that probably he's a child of an isekai guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, his dad is almost guaranteed to be the Dragon Slayer from the stories at this point, and he's also probably not native to this world, which is why Nor's more physically doesn't follow a lot of the rules, like not having a natural mana flow and being able to cast healing without a blessing and so on.
Right. And that was the other thing we got from the healing instructor. So he did say it was, you know, strange from the Nor perspective that we got in the first episode. But yeah, so we got that. That kind of leads more into what we were discussing, like, the entire season. And I tell you guys to go back and look at what we talked about, but that's on a channel that got terminated. Bullshit. So,
Yeah.
you know, you can't exactly go back until I refill the archive in a place where it's not going to be an issue. So, yeah. The only thing I could suggest is at some point it'll be being replayed on my Twitch channel, and maybe you'll catch it when it's in the I Parry Everything part of the reruns. But yeah, we did talk about that. So it's just one of those things where that's definitely what it feels like, especially since we got this thing here at the end where they were having like this roundtable meeting, all agreeing like this kid is ridiculous. There's something super special about him. We need to like all collectively come together, and like he could be like the greatest hero of our time because he could do like everything. He has like no limits. And they went out to go look for him and never found him. The Sovereign Six could not find this man because he went home beyond the stave. Okay? So clearly that stave was serious business if they couldn't find him until he came back 15 years later. So that's all signs are pointing to his dad was freaking isekai. You know what I mean? Has to be. So that's definitely an interesting sticking point for the rest of the just the source material, because once again, as we talked about in the intro, this definitely feels like a go read the manga kind of situation.
Yeah, like even the whole like premise of this situation of him being incapable of learning more skills. Once again, skills is another native system to this world that he would naturally be less inclined towards if one of his parents was not from this world.
Yep.
Probably the fact that he can even learn any skills is just because of the fact that he has a mother. His mother is from this world.
Yep. So it's definitely just like an interesting thing to think about. Is like we've seen what all these instructors are capable of. Couldn't find him. So we saw what the the spy guy, the thief instructor, was capable of. All that stuff. If he couldn't find that stave or find beyond it, yeah, he was out there. But I'm sure they expanded their search far and wide, and they just that stave was enough to, what we saw in this entire season, where Lynn was like, "Hey, there's something there," and she shatters it. It's her Rain did the same thing with the dragons. Like there's something being obfuscated there, and that's generally what those staves do, is something to that effect. So if they couldn't tell that there was a stave there protecting like a region of forest there, then that's some pretty serious magic power. So that'll be interesting to see if they go into that. I am interested to see how this series continues. So when and if I have time, I will go find the source material and read it. So I want to know if we were right, because I can't imagine we're not, because there's just so many obvious signs, and they're not like trying to deliberately obfuscate it. It's pretty obvious. Like, I assume in the source material, they brought attention to the stave that Nor walks through, because they brought attention to it in the first episode of the show. You see him walk through what is essentially a stave. We talked about that in that episode. So
yeah,
it's
which depending on the stave, some staves are literally like alternate dimensions. So that could be a reason why they couldn't find it. It's basically a case of you have to walk specifically through this one point to enter it, because it's an entirely alternate dimension. It doesn't matter where you try to enter from otherwise. Like, example being a lot of fairy folklore staves. It's you walk through between two trees and you end up in the fairy realm.
Right. So it could be something like a very specific circumstance, that kind of thing. It might only open for Nora's bloodline, something like that, or just him, whatever it may be. So we'll just have to see. But in the future, if I do read this, might do like a special episode on just talking about this. If we do hear about a season 2, we'll just do it kind of deal. We do have shows that we do have knowledge on that we have done, like near certain things in Overlord, Tanya, that kind of thing. A couple of the shows coming up we have knowledge on. But this still definitely, based on everything we've talked about this season, with production values and stuff like that. Not that it was bad; it was still fine. But they definitely had a lesser budget. So generally speaking, those kinds of things are kind of like ads for the go read the manga situation. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what this was. And if this does get a season 2, it might be maybe not as long as a hiatus as say Devil's Part-Timer took. But maybe it could be one of those situations where, okay, the source material finished, yeah, go ahead and do the rest of the series in anime form kind of deal. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. This came out late last year, so there hasn't been any talk about season 2. So we'll just have to see what comes of that. But it definitely feels like a go read the manga situation. So anyway, again, solid episode to wrap it up. It really encapsulated the season on the whole, like we talked about. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this show for what it was. It did what it was trying to do pretty much perfectly. And Nor being the weird guy was definitely an interesting character type. So for a while there, I was convinced that the VA was just kind of phoning it in, but after episode 5 or 6, I was like, nah, they're doing this on purpose. So on the whole, I enjoyed the show for what it was. Age and I talked about this before. It's solid B movie stuff. It was just a fun watch, so while I could nitpick a few things here and there, we all know why, that the production value was probably lesser and stuff like that. But for everything that I was trying to do and what it is, still a fun show to watch. And I like I said, if I get the opportunity, I will go read the source material just to see what happens, because there's a lot of intrigue after the first season. We had all the crazy fun Parry stuff and Nora being a weird guy and all that stuff, but they seeded that S-class adventurer that's an alchemist, but he has major assassin skills, that kind of thing. The theocracy, there's more potential for the demon folk, whatever happens with the empire now that the Regency Council's in charge, that kind of thing. What happens with the dragon? There's plenty of interesting stuff going on. So
he fucked off and went home.
Yeah, just went home. It's bored. It wants to go home. So there's plenty of interesting stuff here to have a decent little series. Obviously not greatest of all time material, but still a fun, just fun watch that has a solid enough story that keeps you, engaged and intrigued. So that's all you really want.
Yeah, no, once again, hate to keep harping on it, but this is the kind of show that we expected Guild Receptionist to be.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things where it doesn't need to be amazing. It just needs to be interesting enough to be worth watching.
Yep. So as it stands,
once again, the worst something can be, it's boring.
Yep. And I've mentioned this before, is it's kind of like the WWE wrestlers and just wrestlers in general. They talk about how when it comes to crowd reaction, the worst reaction you can get is no reaction. You want to be cheered if you're a good guy, and you want to be booed if you're a bad guy. If there is no reaction, that is the worst thing you can have. And it's kind of like the similar thing with this is, you can either love to love it or love to hate it, but if it's just boring and not there, that's the worst kind of thing. You know what I mean? So this was a solid enough story. It was good, and for everything that we talked about. So if it does get a season 2, we'll do it. It comes around, but once again, it definitely feels like that go read the source material situation. So that's all I got for this one. Fun watch. I enjoyed my time with this show. Got anything else for this one, Age?
Not really.
Yeah, we pretty much got everything we needed for this one. So, that being said, we'll be starting new stuff next week. Have to, deal with the fact that we're on a new channel and stuff like that. But I made the branding as similar as possible. Obviously, I couldn't use the exact same name, but we'll be starting new stuff next week. Our plate is quite full for July and beyond. Gonna be having 6 things once Peacemaker comes out, because we'll be doing our first live action series for the channel for John Cena's Peacemaker series season 2. But as for anime stuff, we'll be starting 5 new shows next week, as there's a lot of stuff that's coming out right now that we want to watch. So we had to pick 5 of them, and that's all we could get in for the week. But hopefully by then I'll have the Patreon stuff set up for the timer reaction, so people can watch along with us as long as they have access to wherever stuff needs to be watched. And we'll be leaving the discussion and review sections here on, and maybe I'll put them on Spotify too, since they support video stuff now, something like that, just to kind of put it in elsewhere. Just go full Markiplier. Hey, you guys watch Distractable yet?
just stick it everywhere.
Yeah, just put it everywhere. But anyway, I'm gonna let Victoria do the traditional rolling of the stills of the season. So we're gonna do that. So let her roll that. But we'll be back next week with some new stuff. And everybody, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this was I Parry Everything, Season 1, Episode 12. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.